The good gentleman yields back. We turn to the good lady from California, Congresswoman Kamlager-Dove.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney General, for being here today. I want to talk with you about an issue on which there is broad bipartisan agreement: the importance of ensuring trust between the American public and those government officials who wield powerful law enforcement responsibilities.
Of course, as well as members of Congress.
Thank you. And would you include yourself as a law enforcement leader?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know, President Trump has also, he has referred to himself as the chief law enforcement officer of this country. So do you believe that President Trump is honest?
He is the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, and not only is he keeping this country safe, he is keeping this world safe.
It's a simple question which you didn't answer.
He is the commander-in-chief.
Last June, Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and their dog were brutally murdered in their home.
Hey everyone, Adam is here. So here's what you absolutely need to know first. Judge clears path to prison. After Pam Bondi caught lying under oath. Pam Bondi admits horrific crimes after lying in court.
I have a UC.
Ms. Crockett from Texas is recognized for UC.
Thank you so much. Donald Trump's approval rating implodes on his strongest issue. This is from Newsweek today. It says 40% of people approve of Trump's handling of immigration and border security, while 60% disapprove.
Without objection,
that is a
admitted.
Net drop
now I recognize the gentleman
20.
from California, Mr. Liu.
All of these include clear disclaimers stating this content is fictional and not intended to represent real events, individuals, or outcomes. Fictional, not real. The creators are explicitly telling you in the video descriptions that what you're watching is dramatized content.
And your USA's office in Minnesota investigated this crime and obtained a 6-count indictment of the murder suspect, stating that he had intent to kill, injury, harass, and intimidate Minnesota legislators. And I have the copy right here. I read through it.
Not reporting on actual court proceedings where Bondi was convicted of lying. In these fictional narratives, a judge dramatically declares Bondi's testimony not credible, accuses her of hiding or destroying evidence often tied to Epstein files or deportation flights.
That Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was behind these murders, posting on his Truth Social account a video raising this conspiracy theory. And it wasn't true. And you know it wasn't true, or else you would not have brought an indictment against the subject.
And says the court is referring her for prosecution. The language is dramatic. Clearing the path to prison. Virtually guaranteeing conviction. Immediate consequences for perjury. But the videos don't cite any actual indictment. They don't reference a real case number or court filing. They don't show real court transcripts because it's fiction. It's a dramatized scenario exploring what could happen if Bondi were caught lying under oath, not reporting on something that has actually happened. There's even a related video called License Revoked, Judge Explodes on Pam Bondi Fake Evidence, You Just Lied in Court. And that one is framed as commentary on a heated hearing. It explicitly says it's not making factual claims of criminal guilt. It's speculating about potential bar discipline and perjury exposure if a judge were to find she lied. It's exploring the consequences that could follow, not reporting that they have followed. So right up front, no court has publicly convicted Pam Bondi of lying in court. The immediate conviction framing is fictional or heavily exaggerated narrative built on top of real legal tensions, but not describing actual convictions or indictments that have occurred. But here's where it gets complicated, because while the dramatic convictions are fictional, there are real serious legal and ethical tensions involving Bondi and federal judges. She is in actual fights with actual judges over contempt, court orders, and DOJ conduct. So the fiction is built on a foundation of real conflict. Real reporting shows Bondi fiercely contesting a federal judge's handling of contempt in a Trump-era deportation case. She accused Judge James Boasberg of pushing a non-existent case of criminal contempt against Trump officials. She argued his approach improperly usurped executive prosecutorial power. This is a serious constitutional fight about separation of powers and judicial authority versus executive discretion. That's real. Those arguments are happening in real courts. But it's a procedural and constitutional fight, not Bondi being personally convicted of crimes. It's about whether judges can hold Trump officials in contempt for defying orders, not about Bondi lying under oath and facing immediate criminal conviction. There are also real concerns about Bondi's honesty and her role defending Trump policies. Judges have accused Trump's Justice Department of misleading courts. They've said DOJ destroyed the presumption of government honesty. They've issued harsh rebukes about DOJ conduct under Bondi's leadership, and if Bondi or any attorney general lies under oath, there are real potential consequences. Perjury charges under federal statutes, false statement charges under 18 U.S.C. Section 121, bar discipline including potential disbarment. These are genuine legal risks that any official faces if they lie in court. The fictional videos dramatize these real risks by jumping straight to immediate conviction. They take the potential consequences and present them as if they've already happened. They compress the slow process of investigation, referral, charging, trial into a single dramatic courtroom scene where the judge catches Bondi lying and essentially convicts her on the spot. That's not how it works. If a judge thinks someone lied under oath, they can refer the matter for investigation. Federal prosecutors would investigate. A grand jury might indict. Then there would be a trial. Then maybe a conviction. It's a long process with many steps, not an immediate conviction in the moment the lie is allegedly discovered. But immediate conviction is more dramatic. It creates urgency. It suggests accountability is happening right now, rather than might happen eventually through a lengthy legal process. So that's what the fictional scenarios show, even though it's not how the legal system actually operates. Understanding this distinction is crucial because Bondi does face real scrutiny and real potential legal jeopardy. But that jeopardy exists as possibility and risk, not as convictions and sentences already handed down. The difference between what could happen if she's caught lying versus what has happened matters enormously for understanding the actual state of accountability. Let's dig into the real legal tensions involving Bondi. Multiple judges have issued harsh rebukes of DOJ conduct under her leadership. Judge Paul L. Friedman said Bondi's department destroyed the presumption of government honesty. Judge Amy Berman Jackson issued injunctions citing DOJ's failure to respect court limits. Multiple judges have found that DOJ lawyers misled courts, ignored orders, and treated judicial authority as optional. This is real. These are actual judicial findings documented in court orders and hearing transcripts. Judges are publicly stating they can't trust DOJ lawyers anymore. That the Justice Department under Bondi has shattered the credibility that government lawyers normally have in court. That credibility crisis creates real legal jeopardy. Because if DOJ keeps misleading courts, judges can start imposing sanctions. They can hold lawyers in contempt. They can refer matters to bar disciplinary authorities. They can even refer cases to prosecutors if they think DOJ lawyers committed crimes like perjury or obstruction. So the foundation for the fictional scenarios exists. There are real reasons to question DOJ honesty under Bondi. There are real judicial findings that DOJ has misled courts, and there are real potential consequences if that misconduct crosses into criminal territory. The fictional videos take these real elements and construct dramatic scenarios. They imagine a specific hearing where Bondi testifies. She makes statements under oath. The judge catches her in contradictions or discovers she's hiding evidence. The judge explodes, calls her out for lying, declares her testimony not credible, says she's referred for prosecution. In the fictional narrative, this happens in real time during the hearing. The judge makes findings on the spot. Bondi is exposed immediately. The consequences are immediate. Referral for charges, bar discipline proceedings. The path to prison cleared. It's dramatic and satisfying if you want to see accountability, but it's not how the legal system works. Judges don't typically make perjury findings in the moment during hearings. If they suspect someone lied under oath, they might note it in their order or ruling. They might refer the matter to prosecutors or bar authorities, but they don't hold instant trials for perjury right there in the courtroom. The actual process would be: judge suspects perjury, judge refers matter to federal prosecutors or bar disciplinary counsel. Prosecutors investigate, they gather evidence, they might present to a grand jury might indict. Then there's arraignment, pre-trial proceedings, possibly a trial. Only after all that would there be a conviction. That process takes months or years. It's not immediate. And at every step, there are opportunities for the accused to defend themselves, challenge evidence, argue their case. It's deliberate and careful by design to protect everyone's rights, including people accused of perjury. The fictional scenarios skip all those steps. They go straight from alleged lie to essentially a conviction. The judge says, "Your testimony isn't credible. You're being referred for prosecution. You're facing prison." It compresses what should be a lengthy process into dramatic, instant consequences. Now let's talk about the specific legal issues these fictional scenarios reference. Many of them mention Epstein files, suggesting Bondi lied about releasing documents or hiding evidence related to Epstein. Others reference deportation flights, suggesting Bondi lied about compliance with court orders or DOJ conduct in immigration cases. These aren't random topics. They're areas where there actually are controversies and concerns about Bondi's conduct. The Epstein file releases have been contentious, with accusations that DOJ is slow-rolling or redacting important information. The deportation flight issues involve real accusations that Trump's administration defied court orders, so the fictional scenarios are plugging Bondi into real controversies. They're imagining what would happen if she testified about these topics and got caught lying. That makes the scenarios feel plausible, because the underlying issues are real, even if the specific courtroom drama is fictional. Another element these videos dramatize is bar discipline. They suggest Bondi could lose her law license. License revoked is literally in one title, and that's true as a possibility. If an attorney lies in court, bar disciplinary authorities can investigate. They can impose sanctions ranging from reprimands to suspension to disbarment. But again, that's a process. It involves complaints, investigations, hearings before disciplinary boards, opportunities to respond and defend. It's not instant revocation in a courtroom moment. Even if a judge refers an attorney for bar discipline, the actual discipline comes later through a separate process. The fictional scenarios collapse all of this into immediate, dramatic consequences. The judge catches the lie, and basically everything happens at once. Criminal referral, bar revocation proceedings, the path to prison cleared. It's efficient storytelling, but terrible representation of how legal processes actually work. Now, there is a separate question about whether Bondi or DOJ lawyers under her supervision have actually made false factual statements in court. The judicial findings that DOJ destroyed the presumption of honesty suggest some judges think DOJ has been dishonest about facts, not just wrong about law. If that's true, if DOJ lawyers, including potentially Bondi, have made false factual representations to courts, then there could be real criminal jeopardy. Perjury charges, false statement charges, bar discipline. Those consequences are real possibilities. But possibilities aren't convictions. Even if judges referred matters for investigation, we'd still need prosecutors to investigate, gather evidence, make charging decisions, prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt. All of that takes time and isn't guaranteed to result in charges, let alone convictions. The fictional scenarios skip all of that uncertainty and process. They present immediate conviction as if it's already happened or essentially guaranteed. And that creates false impressions about where things actually stand. Where does this leave us? No court has convicted Pam Bondi of lying under oath. Videos claiming she faces immediate conviction are fictional scenarios clearly labeled as such in their descriptions. They're built on real scrutiny and real potential consequences, but describe fictional dramatic accountability rather than actual convictions. Bondi does face real legal and ethical pressures. Judges have questioned DOJ honesty. There are real potential consequences if she or DOJ lawyers have made false statements. But those consequences would come through established legal processes, not immediate courtroom convictions. Understanding this distinction helps you navigate viral content about accountability. It helps you separate real scrutiny from fictional resolutions. It helps you maintain realistic expectations while still demanding thorough investigation of potential wrongdoing. The real story is complex and ongoing. It lacks the satisfying resolution of fiction, but it's what's actually happening and what will determine whether Bondi faces genuine accountability or not. Anyway, that's the story. Videos claim Pam Bondi faces immediate conviction for lying in court, but it's fiction, not fact. Understanding the difference between real scrutiny and fictional convictions helps you stay informed about actual accountability rather than consuming satisfying but false scenarios.